Welcome. You have reached review time with Emperiol. Today's review will be The Silencing. Let's get into it. You have this movie starring Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, aka Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. His character's name is Rayburn, my bad. And Annabelle Wallace, she plays as Gustafsson. Those are pretty much the two main characters throughout the whole um, film. So let's get into it. The movie jumps right into it. Right into it, you come in and you see two guys in the forest hunting, and Rayburn comes out of nowhere, basically tell them this is an area they shouldn't be hunting in, and confiscates their guns. Held them at gunpoint, confiscate their guns, then send him on his way. And then on his way, his old truck broke down, so he ended up walking home. When he gets home, you instantly see his lifestyle. Stuff is everywhere in the house. He lives in the wilderness, and he's a drunk. You instantly see that from the gate. So a woman pops up with papers, and pretty much these papers are for him to sign off that his ex-wife, and you thinking they may be divorce papers, but what they're papers for the burial of their daughter. Now you instantly find out. You see him. You've seen that if you watch the trailer, you've seen that it's a moment he posts something up. So you see their daughter has been missing, and you don't really find out how the daughter was missing until later in the movie. So what's happening is girls are still popping up in this small town, missing and dead, and they kind of have a whoever's kidnapping these girls and killing them. He has a pattern. He's using a certain type of weaponry to kill these victims. And so Rayburn, at the site where he told those two guys that it was sacred and they couldn't hunt there, he has cameras in that area. And so his dog is one time barking at the camera system he has set up in his house, and he's wondering what the dog is. So he's seen somebody out there confiscate one of his cameras. So he went out there. When he went out there, that same person attacked him and hit him with a bow and arrow or something like a spear. And he came back. He didn't report it. Just went and looked at the camera and said, basically, "Who was you out there chasing?" He seen that person was chasing another victim. So he hurried up and grabbed his stuff and went back out there. And so meanwhile, you have the sheriff of the town. She has a troubled brother that keeps getting in trouble. And the other police chief in the area also told her, like, you can't keep saving your brother. Your brother's going to do something one of these times he's not going to be able to get out of. And then so that's her brother, and she's staying tall with him. And he asked her one time, like, hey, if I did something, what would you do? Would you help me out of it, or would you like basically lock me up or whatever? So she had him in her police car, and she drove past this farm with his barn, and he was like, why did you take me past there? Because some harsh things happened to him in that barn. So nevertheless, you have two different scenarios going on. So back to Rayburn, he sees this girl, and he made this trap in the forest for one day. If it's supposed to be like a bear trap, where if you go in and the bear falls through the ground, and it's like spikes and stuff there. So he found this girl that was being hunted by the guy, and when he's being hunted, the girl escapes, but she passes out. He helps the girl. Now he's on his way to the his bear trap area. He's gonna stay in there for hiding until some time passes off. So during that time, he makes it back to his home with the girl, and when he gets there, the killer is waiting there, and they get in a tussle. He knocked the killer out. The killer knocks him out pretty much, and goes and stabs the girl. Meanwhile, once he comes to, he comes out with his gun. The sheriff is there at this point. The sheriff is basically telling him like, "Yo, you need to stand down. You need to stand down or whatever." So when he tell the sheriff, "Look behind you," the sheriff turns around. She sees the guy that's in this cloth is her brother. So she turns around and shoots Rayburn and told her brother get loose. So that was, this is the twist and the turn. So now you like, damn, the sheriff has got something to do with this killing and then the disappearing of the women and stuff. So you like, okay, the brother was already suspect. So now you're thinking, well, damn, okay, I figured the brother, he could have been it. So that's where we at. Now, earlier in the movie, Rayburn, while he was out in the woods, during the time when he had got hit with the spear, he ran upon a pickup truck in the middle of the forest, and he remembered that pickup truck. So fast forward, Rayburn, the sheriff couldn't find Rayburn. He dipped off, and she ran into a trap he set that punctured her leg, and so he was able to dip off. He seen that the girl was stabbed, and he was able to get to his ex-wife and her new husband, which was the sheriff, the chief over in another area. And so that same chief that told that sheriff that you ain't gonna always be able to protect your brother, he helped Rayburn get stitched up and with a doctor, but not go to the hospital because they'd be looking for him there. So now you thinking the sheriff is dirty. So you like, oh man. So now the chief guy goes and meet with the sheriff, basically telling her like, yo, we got your brother. He's confessed some information in that old barn that he was afraid of. He told them people that there was a victim in there, and they got the victim, but it wasn't Rayburn's daughter. So the sheriff went to her brother and pretty much questioned him, and she came back and said, my brother ain't had nothing to do. He wasn't the killer. He might have knew something about victims, but he wasn't the killer. So that made her still go on a hunt to find the killer or whatever. Meanwhile, Rayburn pretty much was trying to clean up his life and stop drinking. So he went to go pay his old tab at the bar, and in the process of that, he seen that truck, that pickup truck that he seen in that forest passing by, and so he followed it out, and it was this real old dude, and he was asking the old dude like, hey, what's up? The guy who was in this truck gave me a jump, and I wanted to thank him, and the old dude said that wasn't me. But my neighbor sometimes borrows my pickup truck. So you already know that he said he lives up that hill. So Rayburn is on his mission up to that hill. Rayburn don't have no guns. I think he got like a screwdriver or whatever. So he goes into the house. He sees a victim. He surfs off through the house that he don't know nothing about. Didn't let nobody know where he was at, and sees a victim on a slab, and then before he know, out of nowhere, he's hit with a needle to pass him out. Meanwhile, the sheriff is still looking for the killer, so she's doing her investigation, and she won an autopsy. But when the autopsy report, she looked at it, she seen that it was finagled. So she like, hold on, this couldn't have been it. This should have been more than this. So when she went to the hospital to visit the girl that had got stabbed and that Rayburn had rescued. You thought that she was dirty and she was gonna pull like the IV out of the girl and kill her, but she didn't. And so she seen the doctor who did the autopsy report, and she looked at a picture and said, "Well, hey, where the doctor at?" The doctor wasn't there, and then she said, "I didn't know he had a kid." And they was like, "Yeah, his kid was killed by a drunk driver years ago." Okay, now it's starting to make sense. So then she's on a run, headed to Rayburn crib, and when she get to Rayburn's house, the dog is just barking. Of course, Rayburn's not there, and the dog is barking, looking at the camera system, and she sees in the camera system. By this time, Rayburn came to, and the guy wants him to go run off in the killer wants him to go run off in the forest while he hunts him. And so she see Rayburn running through the forest, and then the killer, the doctor, running behind him. And so she heads out to that area, and what Rayburn basically did, he had those guns that let people know that you in the area if you stuck. Flare gun. So he had a flare gun. He shot it in the sky, and what that did was it made the killer look up in the sky, and then Rayburn came, distracted him, came, knocked him on the ground, beat him up, and then it flashes back to the last time Rayburn seen his daughter. Him and his daughter was having a little back and forth. She was in the car with him, and he stopped to the liquor store to grab some alcohol. And when he came out the liquor store, the daughter wasn't there. That's the last time he seen his daughter. So he never forgave himself for that. And after Rayburn got the best of the killer and started beating him up, he asked him why did he kill his daughter, and the killer basically said, because a guy like you, I was a great father, and a guy like you that's a drunk hit my daughter, and I wanted people to feel the pain that I felt. So it's messed up, but that was the logic of it. So Rayburn beat him up pretty much and went back to that bear trap that he had for the trap bears with all the spikes and stuff in it. And so then the cop, by that time the sheriff showed up, and then she was like, "Don't do this," you know. And he pretty much was telling her, when you saved your brother, you was willing to do whatever. Like, don't intervene. I need this, peace of mind, that I can move on knowing that my daughter is not coming back, but I did salvage, by killing her killer. So he pretty much threw the dude down in the spikes and then closed the bear trap, and the sheriff pretty much ain't say nothing and just walked off. And that pretty much was the end of the movie. So it's an okay movie. Gotta follow it. It's more suspense than action. Out of my 4-star rating system, I'm gonna give this movie a 2 out of 4 stars. It's an okay watch. The fact that it's the actor that played as Jamie Lannister will bring more people to watch it more than anything. And subscribe to the channel and like the video. Comment if you did watch it. Might be something that you want to watch if you didn't. Till next time.